Olivia, you're looking nice and on bronze.
Oh, thanks.
Wonder why that would be.
Just the natural light. Jeans.
All right, before we get started, Ari has to issue a correction.
Yeah.
Last episode.
I'm sorry about this, Ari. I hate it for you.
Yeah, higher the pressure, higher the boiling point. Is
No, wait. Is that the correction?
Yeah. If you have the more pressure,
Right. Okay.
the
Yeah.
higher the boiling point.
So I was right and you were wrong.
Just get to the point here.
Where I corrected it and immediately said the wrong thing again.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I went over
Just
it a few
confirming.
times before we started.
Get to the part where Charlie was right and Ari
Yeah.
was wrong. That's all that matters.
I was
All right,
not
just
right.
for-
I'll just leave it at that.
Hold on. Let me track that in my spreadsheet.
Tag the whole
All
team.
right.
Good thing we're not recording.
He's always recording.
It's another Friday. This week I did it my way. I made lots of juice, and now I feel a boost. Baby say, oh, it's the way I make my juice. Pressing fruits and roots. This week I did it my way. Baby say, oh, now let's have some fun. There is nothing greater than Fridays at Goodnature.
What's up, my juice lovers? Welcome to Goodnature Radio. This is your host, Charlie Wetlaufer, joined with my esteemed colleagues, the number one juicing consultants in the world. That doesn't make any sense. We have Chef Ari Sexner, author of The Juicing Companion, and of course, the one and only Olivia Esquivel. Goodnature Radio is the weekly Friday podcast. The juicing industry comes together to get help with starting and growing a juice business. Goodnature was founded all the way back in 1976 by my dad when he invented the commercial cold press juicer. Bow, 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 bow. Interested in learning about our complete turnkey packages for starting a juice business? Schedule a free 30-minute call with the Dream Team. You can do that at goodnature.com/radio. And of course, if you haven't taken one of our wonderful School of Juice courses yet, go ahead and do that. And you can use code GNRadio for $100 off. It's like free money just for listening to this podcast. Don't forget to join in on the discussion group on the Goodnature Juicing Facebook group. Go down to the Facebook groups and search for Goodnature Juicing. Of course, follow us on Instagram where we reshare all of our wonderful clients' content. Follow us on TikTok. We're newly on TikTok. And of course, you can shop in bulk on the Goodnature Marketplace at goodnature.com. So, we have a wonderful episode today. Today's going to be all about branding and marketing, the importance of having good brand and what that means, common mistakes we see, how branding flows through to everything, including your recipes, how the process works, and, why it's important to have a good brand. Before I get into that, I do want to mention, coming very soon, we're going to have a new subscription product coming out. Be the first of its kind. This is going to be something you can subscribe to monthly. Get on weekly calls with the Dream Team. That's right. Myself, Ari, and Olivia will be getting on a 1-hour call every week with everyone that's subscribed to the group. And it'll be less. The cost of it per month will be less than 1 hour of consulting. And you get 4 hours of the Dream Team. It's unbelievable. I almost think we're giving this away too cheap.
Dang, hold on a minute. I hadn't done that math yet. It's a little too good, Charlie.
All right, well, Olivia just doubled the price, so that's no longer true. But no, so everyone keep an eye out for that. We're really excited about this. Be able to get on with other like-minded people and ask questions to us and discuss with each other the challenges you're having in the juice business. Give each other advice. You get support from not only us, but the juicing community. I'm really excited about this. It's been something that's been kicking around in my brain for quite some time. I think we've been talking about it for a couple of years now.
It's going to be
I
awesome.
think we finally figured out how to make it work and everything. So it's going to be really fun. So that's coming soon in January. Keep an eye out for that. And all right, let's get into it. So I feel like a good way to start off with this is Olivia, we do a lot of branding work through Good
Yeah.
Nature for our clients. So when juice companies or restaurants or spas or all the different types of clients we work for come to us and they are asking for help with their branding, like what are some common mistakes you see?
Well, it always feels like, particularly in the juice industry, almost everybody that we talk to is in this industry because they have a passion for it. And so the brand is always an afterthought. They started juicing in their kitchens for family and friends, and then before they know it, it's kind of spiraled out of control, and they've got orders, and they're like, "Oh crap! Like this could be a real thing. What do I name it? What kind of business do I form, and what do I want to brand this thing?" And so I'll see people that will come to me with a brand that is just named like Olivia's Juice, and they just sort of slap something on there. And more often than not, they will have a friend that's a graphic designer, or they'll hire some online gimmick like 99 Designs or something like that, that is basically just a quick fix to get really nothing more than a logo, maybe a couple of fonts and colors. But, it's not really well thought out in the sense of what is the identity of this brand? Where are we taking it from here? Where could we grow into? Who are we speaking to? What do we want to reflect in our brand identity? And so there's really such a larger process that should be taking place. It's not happening. So some of the things I commonly see is a really thin font, like a really, really thin, almost like it's written in pencil font. That can really be a challenge, particularly as you're putting that in different places, like a bottle, right? Like a juice label bottle, or on a sign and you try to stretch it out. When you try to embroider it somewhere. So that's something I see a lot. And then Charlie, you and Ari talk about this all the time, but we'll see in logos sometimes, like it's really common to see a cup, right? With a straw coming out of it, or an orange slice, or what are some of the other ones we see? Roots. And all of those can be done really, really well. But my point of view is it really needs to be thought out. We don't want every single juice bar in every town to look like the one before. That's why Chef Ari makes personalized juices for your juice bar. That's why I work on making sure that you yourself or your story is reflected in your brand identity. We don't all want to just be one. But those are some things that I see all the time that, we can start from where you are and sort of take it up a notch. We don't want the mom and pop look and feel for every juice bar. We want to level up from that. And we want to be taken seriously in the industry of food and bev. And we want to, have a right to be in grocery stores and all these things that all of us want. And we really have to make sure that our industry is looking professional. Because at the end of the day, that's really what customers trust. They want to look at a brand that looks like it's been around for a while, that looks like they're, know what they're doing, that's sexy, that's pretty. They're going to grab your bottle over somebody else's bottle. So that's my favorite thing to do with my Good Nature clients is level up brands, or even work with brands that have no identity at all and try to find the story behind it.
Yeah, that's like really interesting you say that, because I mean, almost every one of those points, I have the same thought process on like recipes.
Yeah.
Where it's almost like an afterthought. And then I think the biggest thing is you have to be an expert in so many different things when you're opening a restaurant. And no one is an expert across the board on branding, recipes, sanitation, running operations. And those things that they're kind of weaker at or not really experienced at, they kind of just draw on inspiration from other people a little too closely, and just feel like they could save a lot of money just cutting a corner, replicating that. It worked for them, it could work for me. I think the biggest thing since we started working with you and doing these full packages for clients is how important and crucial not just a branding, but like your mission statement and what that brand is, and figuring out why it's important to you. And when you start with that, you can reflect that and kind of apply that to your logo, recipes, design everything across the board and really just develop something that just makes sense when you go inside. It's something that can't put an exact word on, but when you go inside and you're like, well, everything is so well thought out, like how did they do that? And it's usually a team. It's a lot of work that goes into that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing a lot of people miss about branding is they don't realize if they walk into a place like Trader Joe's, right? They're just like, oh, this place just feels nice. They don't realize how much thought has gone into that. And Trader Joe's is not just a logo. They thought about everything from the products they carry and the packaging and the feel of the store and how everything's laid out. The uniforms, the type of people they hire, how they train their staff. Yeah. It's all part of the brand. And you can think about like that Apple too. It's like, okay, is the Apple brand just a logo? No, it's way more than that. It's the touch and the feel of their products and the way they lay out the stores with those big white tables and everything's on a little pedestal. Like they pioneered that whole look. Before that, it was all just resellers selling computer stuff. And then Apple opened their own stores with their own look and their own feel. And again, people in the polos and, it's all, and like if you go into Southern Press Juicery, it has a certain feel to it. You didn't just go pick a logo and then like, oh, okay, now I have a logo. So now I need recipes. Like, oh, I like this recipe at this juice bar. Let me take that one and I'll just like use that same name. And, I got paid for this recipe PDF from this other people and I'll use those recipes. And then pretty soon it has no actual identity other than just like a bunch of random stuff put together. And people can feel that when they walk into a retail store. If it just doesn't feel cohesive, it doesn't give you this emotional sort of feeling of excitement when you walk in, And I think that's the thing is a brand is not a logo. A brand is a lot more. It's discovering your voice and your identity. And then after you do that work, then you start to think of a logo and color scheme and names for the recipes. And Ari, I know you prefer when people come to you, if they have a good brand, it makes designing the menu a lot easier and picking the menu items, right?
I mean, I tell everyone, it's like the most challenging aspect of creating recipes for clients is if there's like 10 best selling recipes, that doesn't give me anything. I want to know what you're passionate about. And if you have that brand, you even have that logo. I mean, it seems like you're putting like the parameters in and the menu is just kind of guiding through that where it will reflect everything. Like if you have like a fun, playful logo, that's your core is making juice available for everyone and really approachable. That's where I take the recipes. It's not like so over the top, extremely nutrient dense. It's more geared towards, vibrant colors, really approachable ingredients. And then if you have a logo that's like focusing mostly on the health aspects, then I can be a lot more creative with, superfoods and these really nutrient dense blends. So, I mean, having that stuff when I'm ready to develop the menu is huge. It really just narrows down the vision so much. It makes it a lot easier on my aspect and something that you end up extremely happy with too, because it kind of reflects that. So,
and likewise, after like, oh, sorry, Charlie, I was just going to piggyback on that and say that, if you start with a brand and then with Olivia and team or by yourself or whatever, and then you go with Chef Ari and you get recipes, that's when the second like marketing crime happens where they have this really great brand, but then their juice names or the brand names of their products just flop, right? They have no connection to the brand. They have no voice. It's like, like Kale Yeah, and sorry if I'm insulting any of you. I say it with love. I want us all to level up. It happens to me too. I have an ABJ and I wish I would have never named that damn smoothie that name because it's my number one most popular smoothie. It has the stupidest name that everybody else has. But, like you that's what I see a lot. And so they'll go out to market and people will fall in love with their recipes or they'll fall in love with the owner. And then all of a sudden they're like in love with some like baby shark juice. And the name of the juice company is, something really sophisticated and elevated and has nothing to do with the ocean or marine life or anything like that. And it's like, yeah, we recognize that the juice is blue, but that doesn't mean that you have to name it something blue if that's not what goes along with your logo, right? So you wanted to tell a story through and through. And I really love doing that at the beginning. I think it's crucial. If you've already done that and you need a rebrand, then we can take, like I said, where you are and rebrand it. But likewise, like after I see Chef create, one particular juice recipe, I can look at it for inspiration for a juice name. So like I know what the brand is, and then I'm looking at his recipe and I'm sort of looking for maybe a hero ingredient, or I'm looking for the way that juice is going to make me feel in the end, or maybe how I feel before that juice, right? You can take it so many different ways, but really having the team all together, it just makes more sense. Like it just allows it to have this continuum story all the way from the second the guest hears about you to they walk in the door to the moment that they walk out with that bottle in their hand, and making sure that it's a really well thought out experience, taste, brand identity, that it all makes sense to them. They're going to remember. They're not going to be like, wow, what was that juice bar name that we had in Hawaii? No, they're going to remember exactly the experience they had, the taste of that juice, what the name was, because we developed it. So we developed it to be that way so that your brand always rises to the top and they remember you above all else. That's how you start to create a great brand.
And creating a great brand is exciting because I think a truly good brand, especially for these small juice bars or like small restaurants, it should be the embodiment of the owner, right? If you're a passionate person that juices and you want to create this juice bar for the community and name it Olivia's Juice, it should embody your spirit and carry that through instead of just copying things you've seen other people do. Copying recipes and copying labels and everything.
I get so excited when I hear like some kind of really unique juice bar name. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Because it's tough. Because I mean, it's so saturated with like the most common words and stuff with the juice bar names. It's tough to break out. And then every time one of those comes out, it's like really sticks out. We talked to hundreds of thousands of juice bars, and that name comes out, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Like cherry picking, that's a great one, and it's funny, like I won't name the client, even though I think they would be fine if I did, but I had one client that hired me, I think for cleansing and just general questions that they had, right, through Goodnature. And their investor had a marketing person on hand, right? And so the investor really preferred for them to use a marketing person that they had on their team rather than hiring me, which makes total sense. And, I was happy to get on the call with them and talk through some things or whatever. And so this client had shown this graphic designer some examples of juice bars that they really loved. And the one that she loved above all else, I'm proud to say, was Southern Pressed Juicery, right? So she showed the graphic designer this Southern Pressed Juicery brand and the Instagram and the vibe and pictures from in the store or whatever, and asked them to create something. So I get on the call with them and they're presenting, right, to me what the graphic designer had shown. Oh God. I mean, it's the ultimate compliment. But, they start to share screen and I look at it and I'm like, wait a minute. They're like, Olivia, do you like it? And I'm like, well, yeah, I do like it because like that's
my logo.
that's my font and that's my color and that's, it's just your name and my brand. And we all started laughing and we were like, yeah, hold on a second. It's really hard for somebody outside of the industry to know what to do with a juice brand, right? To know all of the different ways that you will use that brand and that logo. And a lot of times what I see happen is people fall in love with a graphic designer creating a really colorful and bright label. And that's something that everybody's like, oh, this is such a pretty industry and the juice, all the colors, and it's so vibrant and, saturated colors or whatever. And then they'll come out with this label that they've designed that's like a full color label. And I'm like, great, that label's going to cost you $2.50. That's never going to work. Right. And so, that's why I really love to be on the front end, because I feel like I can help a lot of mistakes that are going to be costly for you at the end. And just like Chef Ari will tell you, like if you're making a cold pressed juice label, there are certain regulations that FDA, Department of Health, whatever, require that be on there, certain point size, certain place where it needs to be. Like it's not just a free for all of like Charlie's Juice come and taste the goodness, all organic, raw, cold pressed, and then let's print that and stick it on a bottle. You can get in a lot of trouble for those things. So you need to make sure that allergen, notes are on there, and that where the juice was produced, and size of fluid ounces and all of that stuff. So it's really important that you do that the right way.
Isn't that the scariest thing when you submit an order for labels?
Oh my
like
God,
20,000 labels. It was like, something was wrong. That happens more often than not, though. It's
and I'll tell you one thing that's happened to me a lot is I've had clients that have used another consultant, and they've gotten pre-labeled glass bottles. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Without ever testing the recipe, without ever knowing what food cost is going to be. And when I tell you they have entire storage facilities of pre-labeled glass bottles with not just the logo, but with the recipes on it. So it's not like just like it's Ari's juice and hey, if we want to, but it's, they have 10,000 of this recipe, 10,000 of this recipe, and they're paying $4,000 a month for storage to house all of these.
Yeah.
And then
Seems
they
crazy.
oh, I can't tell you how many times this has happened. And then they come to me or to chef and they're like, this recipe ain't selling. And I'm like, well, yeah, that recipe sucks. Like, have you looked at it? And by the way, this recipe is the same as that third one, except you added ginger or you add lemon, And so then what do you do? So I've actually had to recreate labels to cover bottles that already have pre-printed ingredients on them and labels on them. Like, that's how bad it gets sometimes out there, guys. It's scary.
I've been in
Scary.
that situation where I had to make it work a lot. When I was, when anyone that's done banquets before, a lot of times, like the banquet manager or the chef for banquets would sit down with a client and they would make up like canapes or hors d'oeuvres, and they would just write down stuff that sounds good. And then they would place an order and it'd be like bake brie with this and this and this. And I'm like, what is this? And it just sounded good. And I'm like,
yeah.
All right. And then you just got to make it happen, make it taste good. So a lot of times they'll just make that stuff up. But yeah, it is. That is definitely a challenge sometimes. And yeah, that's not easy. It is a risk. It's kind of like one of those things with when you look at the menu and it's got like stickers over it with the covering the price, and it's not a good look always, but
and going back
and they're
to
costly
like
mistakes,
and working with marketing agencies or marketing people, that don't work in the juice industry. Like you're saying, they always jump to certain sort of stereotypical, like the first version of branding always comes like green and orange. Like, well, what? Well, that's the color of the juice. Yeah. This is also Jamba Juice's colors that they've been using for 40 years, And
right.
Yeah. And the U in your name is a cup with a straw. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense because it's a juice company. The O is a slice of orange with a drip of juice coming out. All right, good job. Yeah, super creative. Like a
leaf. Gotta have a leaf,
How many oh, sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
No, we redid our website recently, and the web developer kept trying to like do stuff like if you hover your mouse over a button, the button fills up with juice. I'm like, dude, stop it with the juice. Like, yes, we make juice machines, but not everything has to do with juice. And the juice puns, the puns just never stop. Like when you use people from inside the industry, they all want to use like these juicing puns everywhere. Yeah. And all the marketing material. It's like, we get it. We get it. The word pressed, it can be used as like, impressed and pressed for time and like,
right.
But let's not do that. That's a little obvious.
Yeah. It's been done.
Yeah.
How many, Goodnature's changed its logos over the years. How about you, Olivia? Has Southern Press changed?
No. When I started Southern Press, I really wanted it because we're in South Carolina. I really wanted it to, I think I've said this before, our initial idea was to grow Southern Press all over the country. And that doesn't seem like the route that we've decided to be in, at least in this phase. But I wanted to make sure that it was a name that would stand out. I remember saying to the team, like, if I open this in New York, right next to all the other juice companies that are there, I want somebody to look at it in Times Square and say, I want to go in there because I'm going to have a different feeling in there. I'm going to have an escapism in there, and I'm going to be transported back to the South. Now, that didn't mean that I had to have whitewash, boards and, all of this like, farmhouse sort of look, but I wanted the juice bar to represent where we started, which was South Carolina. And so I wanted it always to go back to Southern roots, even though I'm, Cuban from South Florida. I wanted to pay homage to where Southern Pressed was started. And so, things like Lord Have Mercy and Quit Being Ugly, and everywhere from the moment you walk in to the recipes to the way the juice looks, it's in the way the logo is. It's made to look like it's been branded like on a cow, or like a whiskey barrel where it's sort of aged and it's tilted and it looks like it's been there forever and ever. And those are all the thoughts that I wanted. And so the team was able to carry that out really well. And I don't like doing a rebrand. And I think that's what's so important about having a good team is, you do it when you have to, but you hope that you never have to again, right? So like if I rebrand you, I'm going to rebrand you so that come hell or high water, wherever direction you go, hopefully this will fit, right? Mm-hmm. And it might change a little bit and evolve a little bit, and you can have fun within your brand. Like, with our t-shirts, sometimes we do like tie-dye t-shirts, and, you can have fun and have a personality. It's not like everything always has to be black and white, but the main font, the way it's positioned, the way it's written out, we have what Celia, our graphic designer at Goodnature, and I call a family of logos, which is, it's not just one version of your logo, but it's several iterations of your logo that you can make use of in different ways, right? Like the background behind me, like that would be part of your assets. If that, like, imagine that was fruits or it was, whatever ingredients, whatever it was. Like, it's not just a name, it's a whole collection. It's a whole book of, hey, if I go in this direction, this is the font I'm going to use. This is the color scheme I'm going to use. If I'm going to start to do adaptogens, this is going to be my second storyline. This is going to be my color. So that, as you grow, the brand grows with you and you're not pigeonholed into just where you started or where you thought you were going to go. Because I'm nowhere near what I thought I was going to be as a brand. But the Southern Pressed Juice brand is so strong that it's now recognized as one of the best juice bars in the US. One, because of the products we put out, but two, just because of the brand. I mean, we got labeled, Amanda Chantel Bacon of the East with Wildcrafted, who's the founder of Moon Juice. And that was before Wildcrafted ever even launched, but it was because the buzz and, the name of Wildcrafted and the aesthetics we put behind it. And you, by the way, you can buy that on the Goodnature Marketplace, but just the whole story we put behind it. And that's what's really important, is that there's a whole feeling behind your brand, whatever it is, whether it's chic or it's fun or it's funky or it's kid friendly or it's made to order or pressed or whatever it is, that there be a story that's memorable and that hopefully lasts, for as long as you want that concept to be around.
I like going back to, think about what you want to achieve, your core values, all that stuff initially, that also brings up a good point where people name their juice bar where it's located, and it's great for people that know they don't want to expand outside of their area because it's like they search that area juice bar, they pop up for number one. Or if that wasn't something you're interested in, then having a more general name. So I think just everything falls in place going back.
Yeah.
To that,
I mean, that can work though. Like, like if you, our client Kauai Juice Go in Kauai, Hawaii, like the brand is all about Hawaii. That makes sense. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
Claim
it. The brand is named. Yeah. Or if you're like New York Juice Company and it's all about the city of New York, that makes sense then. But yeah, don't just pick it as the name of the place and then have the branding have to do nothing with that,
Right. Like one of my favorite clients that we rebranded that comes to mind is, her name was Anna Studer, and she's in Casper, Wyoming. And her name of her juice bar when she came to me was ACS Juices, which is her initials, Anna, whatever her middle name is, Studer. And same thing, started out of passion, was like, oh my God, I have to name this thing. I'm just going to put my initials on it. And before you knew it, she was in a food hall doing a good amount of business. And so she came to me and, we kind of were talking about what she wanted to be. And I said, do you have any idea of a new name? And she said, she'd sent me some things that just really weren't sticking. And she said, Olivia, I know this sounds so silly, but I keep thinking about lemon. And, I said, okay. And she goes, and I just can't tell if I love it or if it's stupid, but all the time I dream about lemon. And I said, well, let Celia and I bring it to life. And you will know when we bring it to life, if it's what you dreamed about. Right. And so we came up with the Lovely Lemon Juice Co. And Celia did an unbelievable illustration. You can probably see this on the Goodnature website, but an unbelievable illustration of a lemon. She's a fine artist, so she really can get detailed with some gorgeous illustrations. But, she was the first juice bar in Casper, Wyoming, and she had heard rumblings that other juice bars were coming, and she really wanted to put that, flag stake that flag in the sand and be like, I was here first, but she didn't want to be called the Casper Juice Bar. So what we did was, in her family of logos, we called her the Lovely Lemon Juice Co., Casper's Finest. And so, in different places, she plays with Casper's Finest in the logo. It's not always there, but she has it. And so she'll play with it in different areas, but it sort of allowed her to be like, hey, first finest forever. I was here first. I belong to Casper. I'm from here. Everybody knows me. And what if so-and-so opens up, at least they'll know that I was the one that was here first. And that was one of my favorite rebrands ever. But that's a good way to sort of bring in a way to kind of claim your stake and claim your area without it being the name of the juice bar, Yeah,
and that's a great example of digging and finding out, okay, what's this person actually passionate about? And now when she sees her logo, she probably gets excited. Oh, I love this.
Oh,
I love
gosh,
this brand,
yeah. She started crying. We showed it to her. She was crying. Those are always the best,
And that's how your brand should make you feel. You should have an emotional attachment to it, not just like, oh, well, it's my initials,
Right.
Like it should really be something that you get excited about.
Something special,
It's another Friday. This week I did it
All right. Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year.
I made
Thank you,
lots
guys.
of
Happy New Year.
juice, and now I feel a boost. Baby say, oh, it's the way I make my juice. Pressing fruits and roots. This week I did it my way. Baby say, oh, now let's have some fun. There is nothing greater than Fridays at Goodnature.